For millions of gamers, the video game crash of 1983 is all but a distant memory, something to read about in the history books. It's hard to imagine the idea that an almost $200 billion industry today almost never existed. Except it almost happened, and had it lasted, the entertainment world might look very different from what it does today. How did this giant industry once come crashing down to the point of near extinction? The story is one of oversaturation, the rise of personal computers, and a Japanese gaming company with a plumber. Let's take a look at the great video game crash of 1983 and how it almost upended one of the biggest industries in the world. Let's get into it. The most basic explanation is that this was the time when video game sales dropped 97% from 3.2 billion in 1982 to 100 million by 1985. As the world gave rise to Atari and a dozen other consoles like it, the industry exploded on the scene, and parents and kids gobbled up consoles just as quickly as they hit the store shelves. Unfortunately, it was too much of a good thing, as consumers had too many consoles to choose from, which created significant levels of confusion for would-be buyers. Eventually, the video game market was bound to hit a breaking point, and that's exactly what happened in 1983. Almost overnight, the industry was decimated, leading to the bankruptcy of many video game console manufacturers and unsold games destined for landfills. The abrupt end of the second generation of American console video gaming led many analysts to think video game console war was forever over. In today's video game world, and for almost the last 20 years or so, the video game industry has been dominated by a small number of players like Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo. However, in 1983, the video game industry gave way to dozens of console choices from the likes of the Atari, ColecoVision, Intellivision, Vectrex, Bally Astrocade, Magnavox Odyssey 2, and many more. Executives at Mattel, the manufacturers of the Intellivision console, once acknowledged they released 2 years worth of products into their sales channels during a 1-year period, and something had to give. Retailers simply didn't have enough shelf space to support all the available consoles, plus the huge libraries of games that were constantly growing bigger. As personal computers started to become inexpensive enough to own, sales grew, and as a result, so did their gaming abilities. The rise of personal computers saw games like the original Microsoft Flight Simulator and Lode Runner come to life. Parents saw far more potential in buying computers that could be used for multiple tasks beyond gaming, like word processing and keeping track of expenses. While E.T. the Extraterrestrial may be widely considered the worst video game of all time, it's hardly the only bad game to release in the early 1980s. There was a mad rush to release as many games as possible for all of the various consoles available, and as a result, quality assurance was almost non-existent. Video game companies like Atari wanted to see revenues increase as consoles were often sold at a loss. The result was shorter development cycles than would typically be required, and little to no playtesting before going to the market. This led to near unplayable games in 1982, and it quickly turned off millions of gamers who were otherwise big video game buyers. Looking back, the video game crash of 1983 is a stark reminder for the current industry of what can happen if strict guide rails are ignored. Atari lost more than $350 million and laid off more than 1/3 of its staff during this period. Whereas quality control was an afterthought in the 1980s, today it's the cause of many game delays to ensure when a title is released. Because of these quality controls, the video game industry is now an entertainment behemoth. Consoles and games are constantly at the top of holiday wish lists, and the industry is projected to grow more than $500 billion in total revenue by 2030. We hope you enjoyed this video and encourage you to like and subscribe. Don't forget to visit historycomputer.com to learn more. Thanks for watching.